This is Dr. Rebecca Johansson, running and triathlon coach with the Performance Project. In today's sports science mini lecture, we're going to be discussing the training load recovery balance. We're going to start with the graph that's on the left-hand side of the screen, and that's going over the stimulus, fatigue, recovery, and adaptation principle. So what you start out with is a stressor. So for example, a running workout. Maybe you run a 6-mile workout during the week. Well, after that 6-mile run, you're going to have some sort of fatigue from that run. And then you'll also have recovery from that run. So, for example, if you do the 6-mile run after work, once you finish that run, you're going to start going through a recovery process. Hopefully, you would eat a good dinner and you would also sleep. And then, once you have adequate recovery from a workout or number of weeks of training, you'll undergo a supercompensation effect. So whereby your fitness levels are going to increase and your performance will be better than at baseline, so better than when you first started your training. And the reason I bring this up when we talk about the training load and recovery balance is, in particular, we want to pay attention to your rate of fatigue and your rate of recovery. So we always want to make sure that balance is working out quite well for the individual athlete. So when I discuss the training load recovery balance with my athletes, I tell them to think about it as a pie chart. So recovery is multifactorial. So the training load is quite simple. That would be what you're actually doing for your training. So whether you're a runner or triathlete, just think about the training sessions that you would do in 1 week, for example. So that's your physical training. But the fatigue that you would get from that training and the rate of recovery is going to include a lot of different factors. So most of us are recreational athletes, so we have to think about our work commitments, family commitments, your general health and mental wellness, your sleep duration and sleep quality, and also your nutrition. So if any one of these factors in the pie chart have a significant change, that's going to have an impact on your rate of fatigue that you have from a training session and also how fast you recover from that training session. So if you, for example, let's say you are up against a work deadline and normally you have to work 8 hours per day, but for 2 weeks to meet this work deadline, your work hours go from 8 hours per day to 10 to 11 hours per day. So now your work commitment in terms of that pie chart has taken up a larger amount of space. And that in turn, you may have to change your training load so that the training load recovery balance is still adequate, and you don't get into a state where you go into what we call non-functional overreaching, or you go into the well and you don't get adequate recovery, and then we sort of get into this plateau where your performances decline and you're not able to recover. So the training load recovery balance is multifactorial, and always consider anytime you have a change in work commitments, family, if you're going through any type of mental stressor or health situation that doesn't have to do with training, your sleep, nutrition, or if you're having a large increase in training, these can all have an impact on the training load recovery balance. So think about it in a big picture way.